Yes. See, in verse 13, but go ye and learn what that meaneth. I will have mercy and not sacrifice, for I am not come, to call the impressive, but the unimpressive to repentance. Now, then came to him in verse 14 the disciples of John, saying, why do we and the Pharisees fast oft, but thy disciples fast not? And Jesus said unto them, can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then they shall fast. Now, I've done some fasting where I really needed God to intercede. Yeah. And one of the fasts that I had was maybe for 3 or 4 days. We were living in Vancouver, and somebody had put some shit in my food and was really upsetting me. Ouch. Now, when you fast and you begin to puke bile, yes, it makes you kind of green. Mm. You begin to realize that for all of the substances that have been put in the food supply, fasting becomes very difficult because of the amount of sickness that you experience. Yes. See, I had a way of fasting where I would have to quit drinking coffee. And then I'd have to give myself about 3 days to detoxify from the effects of caffeine. Yes. Then I'd have to quit smoking, and that'd take another 6 days or 3 days, right? Because I'd have to detoxify and I'd only drink distilled water. And it was distilled water because from the studies that I'd done, distilled water is void of any sort of minerals, but it is good at attracting the toxicity of the substances that I had been ingesting. Yeah. Then after that, it was just water. Well, I got to puking about the third day. And I realized that this fast was different than other fasts. Could have been that my wife was in the family and had a lizard in her ass while we were married. Hope. Now, it's not a good idea to attempt fasting, yes, when you know that your system, right, your actual body, has all kinds of snake and dog and fish and cow. In it because the police and sheriff's departments right now decided that they were going to make you come around. Now, let's say you did one of these health treatments where you opened up your pores, you sweated out the toxicity. Yes. You kind of allowed your body to get rid of the toxic substances that you've been eating, and then you decided to do a fast because you know that your body has actually sweated out a lot of very bad food substances. That might be the time to consider doing a fast where you allow your body to begin to internally digest dead skin cells. See, I've done a lot of study on fasting, and I think it is a really good health treatment. Yes. In fact, I've done studies where individuals really experienced a clarity of mind. Yes. But when you try to fast with all the shit that they put in the fucking food, it makes it very difficult because you will get very, very sick. Now, if you're thinking of fasting today, yes, think about, using grain alcohol and only grain alcohol as a way to sweat the toxins out so that you can allow your body to heal itself. Yes. So that you can experience the focus. Yes. Of Jesus in your life. Now, no man putteth a piece of new cloth onto an old garment. Yes. For that which is put in to fill it up taketh from the garment, and the rent is made worse. There's this idea of sewing. Yes. Let's say you had an old pair of jeans. Yes. And you try to put new cloth on as sewn into the actual rip of the fabric that happens to be old. Well, the new cloth is tougher than the old cloth. Yes. Doesn't have the elasticity. So this is a really good concept that Neither do men, yes, put new wine into old bottles, else the bottles break, and the wine runneth out, and the bottles perish. Now, it doesn't seem possible that the glass of a bottle would break, considering that you're fermenting wine. Yes, yes, yes. There's that yeast that we never talk about. You know, I was watching one of these television programs about distilling beer. It's quite a process, really. Yes, it is. Yes. But there is one substance that when you put it in anything known as yeast, yes, it causes an increase in the actual pressure of the liquid itself. Now, back then, 2,000 years ago, I'm thinking the bottle making process, yeah, wasn't like today. You could probably put new wine in old bottles today, considering the strength of the glass that's used. Yeah. But let's say I looked at the yeast today. The yeast. The yeast. You know, yeast is a funny substance. It's actually a living substance. Yes, it is. Now, let's say you put some yeast in some bread and you thought you'd throw a little snake in it, and you're eating a loaf of bread, and all of a sudden you wonder, why do I feel so toxic? Or let's say you're one of these home brewers. You throw some yeast in there and you think, my gosh, this is going to taste good. Why don't you get me the actual yeast supply of the United States and all the yeast that's used in the various bread products? Now, somebody's been genetically modifying the yeast. Now, my thought is, yes, when it talks about the breaking of bottles, shut the